domestic air and domestic sea travel to and from Metro Manila shall be suspended beginning March 15, 2020 and to end on April 14, 2020.
Nagkakaubos na ng gamot na ginagamit sa COVID-19 ng ilang ospital sa Metro Manila.
Pati ang ilang gamit gaya ng mechanical ventilator na tumutulong sa paghinga ng mga pasyente, kinukulang na rin.
Kwento ni Dr. Claro Antonio na gumagamot sa COVID patients sa isang pribadong ospital, ubos na ang kanilang nasal cannula at mechanical ventilator. Hindi raw nila inaasahan na mauubos sa loob lamang ng isang linggo ang kanilang supply na pang isang buwan dapat. Ayon sa DOH, mababa rin ang supply ngayon ng remdesivir.
Anticipated ventilator shortages have been observed as a major concern in certain hospitals in the country since the pandemic started. Numerous people suffered in this pandemic, and the majority of COVID-19 patients have been unable to breathe sufficiently on their own, which is the reason some are being intubated. However, hospital ventilator machines are costly and can only accommodate a limited number of patients. Due to an unstable and scarce supply of standard, full-featured ventilators, hospitals reported adopting alternatives to support patients, such as altering anesthetic equipment and deploying single-use emergency transport ventilators. With these problems, the researchers have been able to think of a wise idea to produce a modified and personalized oxygen ventilator to help everyone in times of unfortunate events like today. Presenting the PerVent Personalized Oxygen Ventilator.
The researchers made sure that the container box of the ventilator was really constructed from strong and long-lasting wooden materials and added some brackets and screws to ensure its safety. It all cost about 1,725 pesos depending on the size and type of the plywood, brackets, and the screws that were used.
Whereas the results of the evaluation of the characteristics of the PerVent in terms of durability, it obtained the general average of the weighted mean of 4.7 with a standard deviation of 0.50, which implies that the PerVent executed its purpose excellently in the matter of durability.
It is supported by the United States Environmental Protection Agency in the year 2022 that states it is duly reliable for a DIY ventilator to be assembled with basic hardware and rapidly scalable with the ability to withstand its longevity.
For the main function of the device, it is purely an automatically generated form of a manual bag-based cardiopulmonary resuscitation or CPR device called an artificial manual breathing unit or AMBU bag. It is a tiny portable balloon-like bag that has a gentle air reserve that healthcare professionals can compress to artificially increase a patient's airways.
Conversely, in the PerVent, the AMBU bag is compressed by a PVC pipe as attached to a 12 volts DC motor high torque with gearbox, which is responsible for its rotation in operation. The pipes cost 165 pesos and the flange shaft bearing, which is the one that connects the pipes and the motor together, costs 600 pesos.
In terms of the motor, it costs 550 pesos. Initially, the researchers had already bought and were supposed to use a stepper motor. However, it did not function properly, which has been the major problem that the researchers have faced. Gladly, they have been able to replace it without putting out extra money and have been able to operate the new motor successfully.
Much more, the PerVent includes features such as a pulse sensor for monitoring body temperature and heartbeats per minute, as well as a pressure sensor for monitoring a patient's breathing and detecting deterioration in breathing. The pulse sensor module costs 200 pesos, while the pressure sensor module costs 250 pesos. And the result that had been sensed by the sensor modules were visible on the LCD, which was bought for 330 pesos.
All of the sensor chips and the motor have been programmed using Arduino Uno Rev3 SMD that costs 120 pesos, plus the different types of wiring, a breadboard, and universal PCB to connect them to one another costs roughly about 480 pesos.
Congruent with the results of the evaluation of the characteristics of the PerVent in terms of functionality, it obtained the general average of the weighted mean of 5.0 with a standard deviation of 0.00, which got the highest score in the evaluation and has a verbal interpretation of excellent in the matter of functionality.
To support the results, there is a study conducted by Acho et al. In the year 2020 with the title Low-Cost Open-Source Mechanical Ventilator with Pulmonary Monitoring for COVID-19 Patients, wherein it is stated that the improvised ventilator model allows users to set the respiratory frequency, the ratio of inspiration to expiration at each respiratory cycle, and their air volume supplied to the patient.
As this is intended for emergency response, 5 wheels have been added beneath the platform to transport the ventilator fast and efficiently to anybody in need of the device. The wheels cost 89 pesos and 60 cents for one.
In accordance with the results of the evaluation of the characteristics of the PerVent in terms of mobility, it obtained the general average of the weighted mean of 4.6 with a standard deviation of 0.53, which implies that the PerVent executed its purpose excellently in the matter of mobility.
According to LTs in the year 2019, mobility is defined as the ability to move from one location to another using one or more modes of transportation to meet daily needs.
Moreover, the motor is powered by a 12 volts and 10 ampere power supply, which its electricity comes from through the use of an alternating current or AC power cord, while on the other hand, the Arduino Uno, wherein the pulse and pressure sensors are connected, is generated with a 12 volts and 1.5 ampere adapter. The power supply was bought for 450 pesos, while the adapter was bought for 200 pesos.
Even more fascinating, alongside the device there are three 3.6 volts rechargeable batteries for the motor to run on, and a 9-volt battery or a 10,000 mAh per hour, 5 volts and 1 ampere power bank that can be both an option to work up the Arduino Uno in case of an electrical blackout. The rechargeable batteries cost 180 for one, while the regular battery only costs 45 pesos.
The result of the evaluation of the characteristic of the PerVent in terms of safety obtained the general average of a weighted mean of 4.7 with a standard deviation of 0.50, which implies that the PerVent executed its purpose excellently in the matter of safety.
Relating to this is the statement of Williams and Sharma in the year 2021 that ventilators require appropriate measures and conditions to ensure the safety of the user.
Last but not least, it is critical to ensure that the device is easy to operate. Hence, it only has one controller for the speed of the rotation of the motor to manage the amount of air that will be released per compression, which costs 150 pesos.
With all, the results of the evaluation of the characteristics of the PerVent in terms of user friendliness obtained the general average of a weighted mean of 4.8 with a standard deviation of 0.44, which implies that the PerVent executed its purpose excellently in the matter of user friendliness.
According to the study by Dahia et al. In the year 2020 in their paper titled Glass Vent, the rapidly deployable emergency ventilator, the ventilator they use requires minimal training and can be operated manually with the hands or legs, meeting emergency needs even in low-resource settings or places with underdeveloped healthcare infrastructures.
Summing up every material that has been utilized, the total cost analysis was 10,078 pesos. Thus, based on a study evaluation of the PerVent personalized oxygen ventilator, the device was generally graded with a weighted mean of 4.8 and a standard deviation of 0.22, placing it in the excellent category.